Hello, everybody. Soccer Holden 13 here. Wanted to discuss. I know it's early, but some potential flyers for wide receivers and fantasy football for the 2016 season that's upcoming. It is late July right now, so I know that training camp hasn't started, and we don't know exactly how things are going to shake out in terms of who gets cut and the final depth chart. But I'm going to go ahead and identify three deep sleeper wide receivers for you as of right now that I would consider taking a look at and potentially drafting them in the last couple rounds of your draft. Now, this is more for 12-team and 14-team leagues. I think if you're in a 10-team and 8-team, there's no point in drafting these guys. But if you're in a deeper league, these are guys you're going to want on your radar if you're looking to, say, take a wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 in the very late rounds of your fantasy draft. So first, I want to talk about Jeff Janis. So he's on the Green Bay Packers. Right now, it's kind of unclear whether he's going to start the season as the wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 for them. He's kind of like in a competition with Davante Adams. There's also one other receiver that I think is competing for the spot. But Jeff Janis, by all reports, seems to be the best guy out of the three that's competing for that third spot. And he also showed some flashes last year in the postseason. He's had a big game against the Cardinals last year in the postseason where he had 7 catches, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I even remember one of the plays was a Hail Mary from Aaron Rodgers, and he caught it in the end zone. So we know he's got, just by looking at that one game, you know that he has the ability to have a big game, and that's important to know. Even though he did virtually nothing the rest of the regular season, he showed some big-time potential in that postseason game. Now, this is a guy that is coming into his 3rd year in the league, and a lot of times it's that 2nd or 3rd year where a receiver breaks out. Now, I think it's going to take a injury to Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb for this guy to really blow up next year. But the potential is there. I mean, when you're talking about an elite offense like the Packers, potential is there. And for a guy you can draft in like the last round, I mean, definitely worth looking at as a flyer there. Again, he has to beat out Davante Adams for that 3rd spot on the depth chart, and he's no lock to do that, but I like this guy as a deep sleeper that you can take in the last round of your draft. Next guy I want to talk about is Philip Dorsett on the Colts. So the thing with Philip Dorsett is he was a rookie last year. He finished the year with 18 catches, 225 yards, and 1 touchdown. So certainly nothing that's fantasy relevant that he's put up so far. But again, this is a guy that the Colts went out and took in the 1st round of their draft last year. A lot of people were like, hey, they shouldn't have taken this guy. They should have taken like a defender or an offensive lineman. And instead they took Philip Dorsett when it seemed like they were already set of receivers, and they took him anyway. So a couple things here. Number 1, Coby Fleener's gone, and Andre Johnson is gone, number 2. So that's 2 guys from last year that were getting some targets from Andrew Luck, and the other quarterbacks ended up filling in for Luck. Those 2 guys are gone, so now you just have T.Y. Hilton, Dwayne Allen, and Donte Moncrief. So Donte Moncrief is on a lot of people's radar as a sleeper this year. Well, actually, not so much a sleeper, but more like one of those middle-round guys you can get that's going to end up being way better than where he's drafted. Well, that's starting to get debatable, though, because he's going in like the 4th or 5th round now, I've noticed, in these mock drafts. But, okay, so you got Donte Moncrief, huge potential. You got T.Y. Hilton, we already know what he can do. But I like Philip Dorsett if one of these guys gets hurt. That's really why I'm calling Dorsett the deep sleeper. It's not so much that he's going to be good. with those other two guys on the field. But if one of them goes down, if T.Y. Hilton goes down and like with a season-ending injury, or if that happens to Dante Moncrief, then Philip Dorsett is a guy that you're going to want to immediately scoop off the waiver wire if that happens. But if you get him late in a draft, then he's already on your team. So I like him as more of like a handcuff to T.Y. Hilton and Dante Moncrief. Well, not so much a handcuff, but a guy that you draft with the intention of, okay, one of these other guys is going to go down and like he's going to blow up. But if that doesn't happen, he's going to be probably the wide receiver 3. He'll maybe exceed expectations in that spot. But he's not going to be all that fantasy relevant unless you're in a deep league. I don't think you're going to start him unless an injury happens. But again, you got picked in the first round, so it's not like they're just trying. You don't pick a guy in the first round just to do kick returns. They want to get him on the field. He's going into year 2. Maybe he can make it happen, so he's on my deep sleeper list. And the third guy I want to talk about is Mike Wallace from he's on the Baltimore Ravens now. Now, you might remember that Wallace, he was actually like a borderline elite receiver years ago when he was on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, one of the seasons with the Steelers, he had 60 catches, over 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And this year after that, he had 72 catches for just about 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. After that, he dropped off on the yardage a bit. Hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since then. Although he's only two years removed from a season with the Dolphins where he had 10 touchdowns. So last year he didn't do anything. The year before that he had 10 touchdowns. Now he goes to the Ravens, and now I don't think Joe Flacco is a great quarterback or anything, but like, look, he's one of the best deep throwing quarterbacks in the league, and Mike Wallace is a deep threat. So, you look at who they got now. They got Kamar Aiken, who showed some flashes last year, but honestly, I don't think he's going to be all that amazing. Steve Smith, who I think he's going to be good the first couple weeks, and then he's not going to do much after that. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to have a strong start to the season, then he's going to fall off, because he's really old, and, he might get nagged up with an injury or something. I just see something happening to Steve Smith in the middle of the season. He'll be good the first couple weeks, but after that, he might fall off. And Kamar Aiken is, he's no elite talent. So I think Mike Wallace has a path to being a starting receiver, either the wide receiver 1 or 2 in this offense. And if that happens, he's got loads of potential as the deep threat for Joe Flacco, I think. So that's a guy that is worth taking a flyer on, last round or so in your draft. He's probably going to start out as the wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 3 after training camp and preseason is all said and done. Hopefully he'll be the wide receiver 3. Because Brashad Perriman is no threat. I think he's a bust. And he missed his whole first season. I understand, he's basically, look at Kevin White from the Bears. Like, that's a different situation because everyone's expecting Kevin White to actually be good, and I think eventually he will be good. But Brashad Perriman, honestly, I thought he was a bust when the Ravens drafted him before he even got hurt. So I have no faith in Brashad Perriman. I think it's going to end up being Kamar Aiken and Steve Smith. I think one of them or both of them is going to fall off, and that's where Mike Wallace comes in and gives you some value. But again, Mike Wallace is not going to be that guy producing huge in the first couple weeks of the season. It's one of those things where he's going to get on a roll middle of the season or later in the season is what I'm projecting. But I like him as a deep sleeper, and if I'm wrong, hey, so you wasted a 15th round pick on the guy. Who gives a crap, So those are 3 guys you want to remember on draft day: Jeff Janis, Philip Dorsett, Mike Wallace. I recommend taking, one of them or 2 of them as your late flyer receivers. So leave your comments below. Let me know if you have any other ideas for deep sleeper wide receivers that perhaps I hadn't thought of. Be interested in knowing. Thanks. Bye.